What's going on, everyone? It's Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge. What if I told you that 3-Eye Atlas could be linked to what? It could be linked to the Hopi prophecies. It could be linked to the Hopi red Kachina and blue Kachina prophecy. And what does that mean for mankind? What does that mean for us? It's going to be a great talk tonight on the Forbidden Knowledge podcast. Make sure you stay tuned and make sure you pay attention because I'm going to drop some knowledge tonight and bring up some things that hardly anyone has considered dealing with 3-Eye Atlas. As a matter of fact, I'm the only one speaking on this. All right. So it's going to be a great talk. Make sure if you're on my YouTube account, you click that like button. If you're on Instagram and you want to see the full presentation, you want to see the bigger picture, come to the Forbidden Knowledge podcast on YouTube and check us out. If you're on X and you want to see it bigger, come to the Forbidden Knowledge podcast on YouTube. And the same thing for Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And of course, we are multicasting right now as we speak. I see the live chat filling up. Everyone's getting in the live chat. Please click that like button. If you are on my YouTube account, please subscribe to this YouTube account. All right. I see some of the usual suspects. What's up, Zakia? What's going on? Jandel, Miss Johnson, Dramos, Al Random. All right. What's going on? People are filling up in the live chat. It's going to be a great talk tonight. So let's give everyone a second to get in here because it's going to be a great talk. I don't want anyone to miss out on this knowledge that I am literally about to drop on everybody right now tonight. Okay. It's going to be a great talk. We're talking about 3-Eye Atlas. Okay. 3-Eye. And then we're going to talk about the third eye. And we're talking about the Anunnaki named Atlas. And what does that mean as well for humanity? Okay. So again, click the like button, share the video. Let's get the algorithm running. And we're going to get this party started. All right.
Forbidden Knowledge Television.
This is logged in on November 25th, 2023, Eastern Standard Time. Sensitive material has been breached and it is now in front of the public. This is very sensitive documentation and the world will be in total chaos if leaked, and it is now leaked. All of it. Not one document, all of it. Place of exploitation, Forbidden Knowledge Television. This must be stopped.
All right. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Forbidden Knowledge podcast. My name is Billy Carson. And tonight we're going to talk about the Hopi prophecies. And in particular, there are three. We're going to talk about the web, the invisible web. We'll talk about the blue Kachina and the red Kachina prophecy. And I'm going to make some comparisons to the 3-Eye Atlas, this object that has been heading our way and now, as of today, made its closest, absolute closest approach today. Today is its closest it's ever been to Earth. And we're going to address that as well. We're going to hear from Avi Loeb as well from Harvard Astrophysics. And it's going to be a great talk. I think I'm going to drop some concepts and hypotheses tonight that might have a few people scratching their head and thinking about these Hopi prophecies. And so we're going to go into that. And I'm going to talk in depth about the invisible web, something that I discovered reading about the Hopi prophecies back in 1992. And in 1992, if you can remember back that far, or if you were even alive back then, some of y'all were probably babies and toddlers, there wasn't any internet or computers in most houses. I would probably be safe to say 95% of people didn't even know the internet existed in 92. And I would say, again, safe to say 95% of people did not have a personal computer at home either. Okay. Even though those things did exist, mostly the internet was for intra, I-N-T-R-A communication, not inter. Intra means internal, inter means external. So the intranet actually existed in that time frame and was being worked on and perfected, sending messages back and forth and data packets back and forth on an internal network. And then much later, the internet came into fruition as they began to experiment on the outside, then making it available to the general public. Okay. So again, this web is an amazing thing, which we're going to talk about tonight. Okay. So let me just check on one more thing here. I want to make sure we get as many people as we possibly can. So I'm going to send a text message out. Make sure we get some more people in this live today. I want to get as many people in here as we possibly can before we get fully cranking. So make sure y'all share the video too, so we can get a few more people. Right now, we're getting close to, okay, we're about to hit 600 shortly in the live. We're going to get this thing up there to at least 700 people before we start cranking, all right? And I want to talk about some historical facts and some information that I learned personally from the Hopis and dealing with Hopi elders, the Lakota tribe, the Blackfoot natives of the Americas. And remember, it's actually an insult to call them Indians because they're not Indians. Indians was actually a derogatory name given to Native Americans by Christopher Columbus because he thought he was heading to India. This guy was so bright, so intelligent. he thought he ran aground in India. It was actually in the Caribbean of the Americas. And so he called the people here, the indigenous peoples here, he called them Indians, even though clearly they were not Indians, okay? But that's the name that they were received from Christopher Columbus, and that seems to be the name that the title that kind of stuck. However, they are not Indians. Indians live in India. These are indigenous peoples of the Americas. Just keep that in mind when you're referencing the native tribes of the Americas, just because, to be quite honest with you, it's kind of an insult to call them Indians, in case you didn't know. And my father, who was actually Native American, part of the Cheronahaka tribe, is his actual origins. When I did the full background on my lineage, and this is my father here. Okay, he passed away. He was a crazy dude, but he was just really depressed. Looking back on his life, he really was depressed. But part of the Cheronahaka tribe out of Washington, D.C. in the Virginia area. He really didn't know a lot of his pure blood relatives. Unfortunately, his dad left at when he was a very young age. I think he was only 5, either 3 or 5. I can't remember the exact age. He was 3 or 5 years old. His dad left, never came back. And his mom, unfortunately, passed away when he turned 16. So being on your own from 16 in the streets of New York, obviously losing both your parents, and I've lost both of my parents. Now he's gone and my mom is gone. So I know the pain of losing parents. And so imagine losing parents, though, when you're not even old enough to cope with it, like you're a child. You're still an absolute child. And so that spun him into a depression. And I know this now, looking back over his life and being a grown man now and being able to conceive and understand concepts and perspectives. I can see now that he was a totally depressed man, which is why he was on alcohol and drugs. It wasn't like people just wake up and go, I want to be on drugs and alcohol. I think that people are trying to escape something, and he was always trying to escape. Okay. He still was my dad, and some of the things he instilled in me made me who I am today. Okay. He made me who I am today. I'm pretty happy with that, that I'm able to talk about this now today and talk about this information, because I think a lot of people need to hear this. There are a lot of people who are struggling out there, or maybe their parents were struggling, and you kind of maybe are harboring some maybe attitude or anger toward them. Just let it go, because you might not fully understand what they've been dealing with and what they had to deal with. You might think you even know their past. They might have told you a few things, but you truly might not know the full picture. And you still might not know the psychological effect that whatever they went through as a child or somewhere within their life has an effect on them in the current moment. Okay. And so you have to begin to understand that the parents, they do the best they can. Some parents are better than others. Some research, family life um, and child rearing better than others. Some understand concepts better than others, but some just don't. And some are suffering from, depression and other things. And so we don't always get this perfect picture perfect, TV show parent every single time. But it's for us to have the empathy. It's for us to also look at them and take what we see within them as a learning experience, and how we can allow what's happened with them and how they're what they're going through to allow us to, do better in the next generation, that we break generational curses and so forth. And so one of the things I did to break generational curse, well, a few things I did to break generational curses is I don't smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't smoke cigars, and I don't smoke weed. If you do that, that's fine. Most of the people around me over the years have smoked it. I really don't care, but it's just not my thing. I have nothing inside of me says I need to go pick up a cigarette or a joint and smoke it. To me, it's an absolute waste of money. I can be investing that money in myself and building businesses. I don't drink. When I was 17, a couple of my friends took me out for a little party, a little, I don't want to call it a party. It was like really just we hanging out at Scott Park in Norland area, Miami Norland area, after work one night, and just to sit down and shoot the breeze and just talk some crap and just lay back and take a load off. We had been grinding and working all day, and they had beer. They had something called Magnum malt liquor, and I drank 2 cans of Magnum malt liquor. I was 17. Let me tell you something. I got so sick. I got sick for 3 days. The best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I never drank again. I haven't drank since I'm 17. I'm 54 right now. Haven't drank a thing, not a lick, since I was 17 after those 2 cans of beer. And so, again, I saved a lot of money because I see the bills. I see the bills when people are out buying and eating and drinking, and I see those expensive bills. And so it's all about, drawing a line in the sand and just creating breaking generational curses. All right. So I don't want to beat a dead horse with it, but it's important to understand that don't hold grudges against your parents for how you feel, what they did or didn't do. Just take the positive that you can remember, take the inspiration that you can remember, and take from them, take from whatever your experience was with them, what did inspire you. Because everything happens for a reason. And I know I dedicated my book, Woke Doesn't Mean Broke. I dedicated that to my father. And that's a financial literacy book that's 688 pages. He didn't have financial literacy. However, he recognized a special thing inside of me, my retention for information. He recognized my ability to read at a very young age. He recognized my reading comprehension. And so he forced me to do book reports every single week as a tiny kid. Because in a book report, it forces you to summarize the story, which means now you have to have some level of comprehension. And so that comprehension capability was instilled in me or developed in me and grew. I had it naturally, but he helped it grow. He helped it become very strong. And my ability to research and understand how to look for things and information inside of books, it came from him. So I dedicated that book to my father. Okay. So again, but yes, he was a Native American. Okay. And so we're going to go into this. We're going to go into this topic today about the blue and the red Kachina. And I'm going to just open up a couple of talking points here on my computer because I think it's important. So back in 1992, as I was telling you before, I was reading this book. I was reading books on Native Americans, indigenous peoples. I had known that my father was an indigenous, but I didn't really know much about the tribes in the Americas, except that most of the sporting teams named their teams after these tribes, which I thought was another insult, by the way. After what they did to these people, then they named their teams after them and named their cities after them, but they stole the land from them. But that's neither here or there. I was researching that, and I came across the Hopi text and the Hopi prophecies. And one of the prophecies read, it said, in the future, the world will be connected by an invisible web. It says a spider web will be cast over Earth. The Hopi elder spoke of a vision, a vast web spreading across the entire planet, connecting all peoples in an invisible network of threads. All people connected. Through this web, humans will be communicated through instantly and be able to communicate across great distances, sharing thoughts, images, knowledge in ways never before possible. And that we'd be living in two worlds in this age. Humanity would exist simultaneously in the natural world of earth and sky, which is the third dimension, and the artificial world woven from invisible threads, neither fully present in either realm. That's the internet that we're talking on right now, and the clouds in the sky, the cloud servers, which is not really in the sky, obviously, but we reference it as being in the sky. It's sitting in a storage facility somewhere with air conditioning on huge servers. We call it the cloud. So they saw this thousands of years ago. And how did they see this? I feel that they saw this not because necessarily that they just had this download, but that they understood that previous generations had gone through the same cycle. That this is a cycle of rise and fall of civilization and a rise and fall of worlds. And this information had been passed down from generation to generation and now made it to this current era. And we're living in the prophecy right now. The prophecy which came from foreknowledge. They had the foreknowledge of this happening in previous worlds. And they continue to pass it down ongoing, okay? And what's beautiful about it is we're living in the actual era of this time right now. We made it to this new age, the age of Aquarius, which they prophesied coming. So the Maya, we got it wrong in 2012. That was actually the wrong year. We're living in the year right now, 2025, which is about to end. This is the beginning of the age of Aquarius. And so this prophecy stuck with me because I recognized, and I actually said out loud, just under my breath, I said, if I live to see this web exist, the whole world will hear my voice. I knew it. I said, the whole world will hear my. By this time, I had accumulated so much information with nobody to talk to. I mean, nobody. And I realized that if I can live long enough to see this come to fruition, that the world would hear my voice when this invisible web will be cast over the world and information will travel to and fro instantaneously. And I made it. We're here. We're here and we're here now. And so that convinced me that there was something to the Hopi prophecies, that this particular tribe, many other tribes have prophecies as well, but this particular tribe, in some intrinsic way, had passed down knowledge from previous iterations of civilizations that had risen to a very high level. We're calling it a prophecy, but it's really a remembrance of what already happened in the past. And we have now just risen back to the point where we have basically run through this cycle and we're back at the same point again. So you may want to call it a download or some type of a knowledge that came from the heavens. In my opinion, I feel like it's something that they've known for many millennia, many eons, and they've been passing it down. They said that we've lived in 4 worlds, 4, and we're headed into the 5th. And this beginning of this age of Aquarius is ushering into a brand new world, a brand new era. And so I give a lot of credence to the Hopi prophecies because this particular prediction was so accurate, down to the letter, it was accurate. And that really truthfully convinced me that their prophecies are strong. So I wanted to research more of their prophecies. And that led me into the Hopi, the blue Kachina and red Kachina prophecies. And these prophecies are very, very strong because they really are foretelling a time that literally, again, we are rendezvousing. They spoke of this millennia ago, and we are now rendezvousing with that point in time right now in this era. And I believe that it has something to do with Three Eye Atlas, which we're going to talk about tonight. All right. So if you're just tuning in, make sure you click that like button, share the video. You can come over and watch us on the Forbidden Knowledge podcast on YouTube. If you do, please subscribe. All right. I see we're at about 1,000 people in the live combined through all platforms right now. Pretty cool. Thank you. So, ancient wisdom meets modern revelation. Sacred cycles converge with cosmic signs. Humanity stands at a crossroads between worlds, where timeless prophecy illuminates our present moment and the path forward in an uncertain future. So let's go back a little bit to this to this Spider Woman. Excuse me, to this Spider Woman, and let's dig just a tiny bit deeper into this, the weaver of reality that they prophesied. So in the Hopi cosmology, the Spider Woman is the primordial weaver who creates the fabric of existence itself. She does not merely weave physical threads, but timelines. She weaves worlds, and she also weaves consciousness. So we're talking about this creator God, right? And it would make sense that it's a woman because everything comes out of a womb. And her web is sacred architecture. Now we're talking sacred geometry. That's what that means. The underlying structure with all life connects, communicates, and evolves. She teaches that creation is an ongoing act of weaving and that every thread matters. Ooh, sounds like a lot of the stuff I've been talking about all these years. The interconnectedness between all of us and everything within the entire universe, and how everything is energetically connected on this quantum field. This energetic grid that we're all plugged into with intersecting timelines and fractured timelines. When Spider-Woman casts her web over the earth, she is not casting a trap, but revealing the hidden connections that have already existed. The web makes visible what was invisible, and our independence on it gives us our shared fate and our collective consciousness. So we're co-creating reality together, our connected fates. We're co-creating this reality, okay? This is really incredible stuff. Like they really knew exactly what they were talking about, almost as if they lived it. And that's like, wow, I really feel like they truthfully experienced this. This is why they talk about the Star Brothers and so forth. They really experienced advanced beings visiting them. They claimed that they were seated on this planet by Pleiadians. That's millions of years ago, coming from a whole nother star system in the sky. The stories that they have, their stories are incredible. I'm looking forward to doing a documentary just on the Hopis. So what they said was that we're living in two worlds. They said that there's a web over the earth, right? And that if you look at the modern equivalent, that would be the internet. That would be this global network that has us connected right now on this live stream. And there's an impact on our consciousness. There's this planetary nervous system that we literally help to co-create. And this invisible web influences our own biology on a daily basis just by us watching it and listening to it every single day. And we know that we're living in two worlds, the physical world and the digital world. We can't escape this, and they predicted this thousands of years ago. And that gives us this split attention and this identity crisis as well. So you see people living more in the digital realm and not wanting to be part of the real world anymore. And you see people in the real world, they can't really identify with the digital world in some cases, the older people, the older generation. We have this split thing going on right now, which is giving us this lost balance. Technology addiction, identity fragmentation, disconnection from nature itself. We don't even get grounded anymore, okay? And this is going to lead us towards our final test. ethical use of AI, ethical use of data, ethical use of power and energy of the world. And it can mean our evolution if we do it right, or it can also mean our extinction. There's a crossroads coming for mankind right now. We can go down the left exit off the highway, or we can go off the right exit on the highway. Depending on which way we go is going to determine the fate of humanity. So I thought that web was really incredible. And what happened with me was, so 1992, this comes out. 1997, all of a sudden, I lived to the prophecy. I lived to see the prophecy come to fruition. I'm watching an NBA game on a Saturday afternoon. I'll never forget this. A commercial pops up on the screen. The commercial, completely black screen, big bold letters, IBM, small letters.com. And that was the whole commercial. No words, no music. It was a moment of silence. 15 seconds of silence. And I said, wow, what the hell's going on here? And the reason why I'm concerned about it is because at the time I had a media company. I was selling TV commercials and marketing, street marketing, because it was not computer based yet. At the time, it was classified ads, nationwide classified ads, remnant airspace on late night TV and things like that. And I'm going to myself, that's an expensive commercial to just show a black screen with white letters for 15 seconds. Then it came on 2 more times. Now there's 3 commercials during a major televised national game that had to cost $1 million. So now they got my interest peaked. Now I got to know what the hell's going on. What does this mean? So I go to the bookstore, the original Google, and I walk in and I ask the reception and say, hey, I saw a commercial on TV. It said IBM.com. That's all it said. Do you know what this .com thing is? She says, oh, the section over there, the World Wide Web section. I literally got chills. I just got chills again. Because I realized if that's what I think it is, I made it. I ran over to the section. I pulled down some books on HTML. And I'm going, oh my God, I got front page 97, HTML, JavaScript, PHP, ASP, C+. And I'm going, what? I couldn't believe I lived to see the day when this thing actually existed. So I dove into it pretty deeply and I taught myself ASP, PHP, JavaScript, C+. I taught myself all the programming languages dealing with making websites and became pretty good at it. I learned how to do FTP servers and the whole works. I got all the pot lines in my neighborhood run to my house. Well, nobody else in my neighborhood that I was living in at the time could get any more phone lines because we didn't have the fiber optics back then. I ran all the existing, all the extra phone lines in the neighborhood towards my house. Of course, I paid the phone company. They're called pot lines, and I ran them all there, 24 lines. I put 3 T1s in, and I coupled them together. And I had the internet high speed there. I had all this stuff going on. I was doing it big back in the day with that. It became a big marketing company, lead generation company. I turned that company into a huge company. But it only came because I realized what was going on. I had lived to see the moment where this actually happened. I was really excited about it. You know, it just to live, to read something so ancient and to live to see it come to fruition. And now here we are again at another turning point where we have something else happening once again, where we may be living to see this. So let's talk about this for a second, okay? You can see behind me the blue and red Kachina. You can see the Star Brothers, and you can see 3i Atlas behind me. This rendering that I put up earlier today. And we're going to talk a little bit about the blue Kachina before we show some more images on the screen here. But the blue Kachina, Sasquatch, that's the name. That's how you say it in Hopi. The true star is what it means. It means the true star. The blue Kachina, known as Sasquatch or blue Kachina, is described in prophecy as a spiritual messenger and astronomical object with celestial signs that may accompany its arrival. Oh, It means we're leaving the end of the fourth world. The appearance of the blue Kachina marks the final stage of the current world cycle, signaling the time where we are now, where time has run out for systems built on imbalance. Systems built on imbalance have come to the end of their time right now. We have come to this point. And why do they call this the blue Kachina? Well, because this is a real image of 3I Atlas as it was going around the sun. Once it slowed down, it slowed itself down to approach the sun, it started coloring itself or burning itself bright blue, which means extremely hot. Anything that burns blue is hot. It reached an incredible temperature without breaking apart. And then it also had thrusters coming out the rear and the front as it navigated around the sun. But it turned to this bright, bright blue. Very interesting. Truth revealed. This being represents the unveiling of hidden truths, the exposure of deception, and the revelation of what has been concealed from humanity. Ooh, this is powerful stuff from the Hopis, man. This is incredible. This is exactly where we are right now. Epstein files, government being exposed left and right for being crooks and polytricksters, like I've been telling y'all for decades now. Right? The global unalivings that are going on from these crazy people thinking they were promised this and promised that from artificial deities thousands of years ago to give them the right to unalive people and try to genocide races. And we dropped bombs on countries and we eradicated people in the past. We've done all this crazy stuff. But all of it now, even 9/11, people who didn't believe it was fake, now they believe it was done by a certain group of people, again, that were heavily involved, and it was a false flag attack on our own soil. People are finally beginning to wake up as all of these things that have been concealed from humanity are becoming exposed right now. We're living in the time frame where this prophecy has reached its full potential to be as accurate as you can believe. The blue Kachina catalyzes a period of moral reckoning where individuals and societies must confront the consequences of their choices. We must confront the consequences of our choices. This is where we are right now. Our choices have created a consequence. We're going back to the ancient Kemetic principles, which later became the Hermetic principles as it was stolen by the Greeks. And the ancient Kemetic principles talk about the principle of cause and effect. And in the principle of cause and effect, it states that any decision that you act on will have a consequence, whether it's a good consequence or a bad consequence, but I guarantee you there will be a consequence. This is what's called karma in the real Indian, the Indian writings. Karma, same thing. They said that the blue Kachina catalyzes a period of moral reckoning where individuals and societies, just like the ones on that Epstein list, must confront the consequences of their choices. That's why they're trying to hide this list so damn bad. Now, what does the blue Kachina signal? They say that when the blue Kachina appears, corrupt institutions, dishonest leaders, and systems built on exploitation begin to crumble under the weight of their own contradictions. That's where we are right now. We're in the beginning stages of this unraveling of this screwed up, dogmatic scam of a system that exists. Secrets are revealed, scandals erupt, the machinery of deception becomes visible, and what was hidden in darkness is dragged into the light. It doesn't just be seen, it's dragged. We're snatching these people, we're snatching these systems, and we're exposing it all for the world to see. The consequences of humanity's disrespect for Earth become undeniable. Extreme weather, ecosystem collapse, resource depletion, can accelerate to crisis levels in some regions. Sound a lot familiar. What's going on right now? Right now, today. We just saw a mine in the Congo collapse, killing thousands of miners, most of them children, in these cobalt and lithium mines where they go in with their bare hands, clawing at the earth for 8 to 10 hours a day to dig out the stuff needed to make cell phone screens and Tesla batteries for the Tesla vehicles and electric cars. We see the collapse of these mines. We see the mudslides. We see the fires going on. We see all this stuff happening right now. They say humanity must choose, continue on the path of destruction, and face purification. So if we continue on the current path we are on now without bringing awareness to our conscious decisions and actions, there will be a purification. Do you know what that means? We think we have so much power over this planet. The planet itself, we can just take what we want from it. We can oil drill it. What is the oil? Oil is not from dead dinosaurs and dead plants. They try to call it fossil fuel. Well, that's a scam. That doesn't exist. It's the ambiotic fluid of the earth. It's the blood of the earth itself. That's why you can drain a mine for 30 years and then come back in 30 more years and the blood will be right back. The oil will be back again. The earth is creating this oil. It's the blood of the earth, literally. That's why we will never reach peak oil. Peak oil is an absolute scam used by the people who run the stock markets. They run the futures, they play the futures market, and they create this scarcity mindset based on oil, and we're reaching peak oil. Again, there was peak oil when I was a little child, and I forget who was in office now, the peanut farmer. He was in office. And it was peak oil back then. Then Ronald Reagan came, it was peak oil again. We keep reaching peak oil, but yet the oil never runs out. Okay? Jimmy Carter, that's who it was. Jimmy Carter was in the office back then. It said humanity must choose or continue on the path of destruction and face purification. What does purification mean? This earth is so powerful and so strong. The earth only allows us to live here because it has empathy for us. The earth itself is conscious. Earth is a conscious living being with a conscious mind and feelings and emotions. And it's giving us every opportunity. We only occupy the skin, the outermost layer, the upper epidermis, if you would, of the earth itself. And at any moment she wants, she can just shake us right off at any moment. She can call her friends in the universe to send some comets, send some asteroids to cleanse her. Or we can change course toward balance and earn passage into the fifth world. The fifth world is right amongst us at this exact moment. We are at the doorway to the fifth world. That's what all this new technology and all these advancements in medicine and life longevity, it's all right here at our fingertips. But we won't get access to it unless we change our course and our conscious way of thinking and being. We change our actions. And then we also have the red Kachina. And why red? Because the thing, it also glowed red. Yeah, it also glowed red. On its approach, it was red, then it turned blue. It was burning bright red. So we have the red Kachina and the blue Kachina in one object. The red Kachina represents cleansing through fire, not a real fire with flames, but the burning away of all that cannot sustain itself in the new age. Old structures, false beliefs, and corrupt systems will be consumed. The being embodies Earth itself. It embodies a self-correction mechanism. When humans refuse to restore balance, the planet acts on itself to remove the imbalance, creating space for new growth. That's what we have to be aware of. At any moment, the Earth can call on the sun to send a coronal mass ejection to cleanse itself of us. And don't think they don't communicate, because the sun and the Earth, they talk all day long. The Red Kachina ensures that universal principles are upheld, actions have consequences, spiritual law is not negotiable, and what was sown in the fourth world will be reaped during the purification. You see, these planets, these moons, they communicate. Scientists started pointing radio dishes at these planets and moons in our solar system and started listening to them. And they started recording the sounds. And these sounds began to sound like real communication. Matter of fact, when you take those frequencies that they recorded from the planets and moons in our solar system and slow them down, it sounds like conversations. Yeah. So we have the two brothers, which are going to bring cosmic balance. So the blue Kachina reveals the truth. The red Kachina enforces correction. The blue Kachina is a spiritual signal. The red Kachina is physical purification. The blue Kachina, warning and awakening. The red Kachina, consequence and renewal. The blue Kachina, messenger of change. The red Kachina, agent of transformation. The blue Kachina illuminates the path. The red Kachina cleanses the way forward. The blue Kachina, opportunity for choice. And the red Kachina, result of choices made. That's your consequence. Any conscious thought that we act on is going to give you a manifestation. That's the formula. CT multiplied by A equals M. Our conscious thought multiplied by our actions will create the manifestation. Do we want to enter into the fifth world and build and grow and collaborate over competition and grow a new golden age together? Or do we want to keep hating one another, falling for divide and conquer tactics, unaliving our children in the streets, sending our young men and women off to fight battles that they have no business fighting for rich people, and destroying the earth? Parents need to begin to raise their children in a way that they want them to go from now. If you have young children, do not, and I encourage you, do not recommend they go to any military service anywhere. The military does nothing but the evil bidding of people in $10,000 suits. They do not save the world from anything. They only destroy and kill and pillage. It's the same old story playing out over and over again. And until the people in active military duty realize that they're nothing but chattel, that their life has zero meaning to these elites, and that they're following orders of people who they themselves cannot even get on the front line and do one single bit of hand-to-hand combat. When they begin to realize that the people that gave them the order have zero power, all they can do is speak a word that can fall on deaf ears if you so choose. But if you continue to take those words and act on the words of someone else, now you're vibrating on someone else's frequency. You lost your own frequency. Now your dominant frequency is someone else's. Someone says to you, do this and do that, attack this and attack that. You now take your frequency and now you have an imposter frequency inside of you. You let that other person's frequency inhabit your body and your consciousness like a symbiont. And now you run out here and you commit these egregious acts against mankind and say, no, I'm just following orders. I'm just being a good soldier. No, you're being a good avatar for someone else's spirit. Their dark spirit, through a frequency called vocal, has now inhabited your body and your mind and taken over your body, taken over your own consciousness, and you allowed it to happen. They're running you and controlling you like a remote controlled NPC. That's what's happening out here. Stop taking orders to unalive people and their children in other countries that don't even know you and you don't even know them. You're going on false intelligence most of the time. It's all about making money. Now we're going to take Argentina's oil, I guess. Whenever the Americans tell you that we're going to bring democracy to your country, leave that country immediately because it's going to be turned to dust. Do not stay. So let's look at a little bit more here. The Hopi prophecies are primarily preserved through oral tradition. These are passed down verbal histories, passed down from generation to generation to generation, over and over again. They have protected knowledge. The Hopi elders have shared only portions of the prophecies. And I know this for a fact because I sat with a Hopi elder in Scottsdale, Arizona, a week and a half ago. And he showed me a couple of Hopi secrets in a small book that he took out of a trunk at this place that we were at. And it's forbidden to take photos or even showcase what was in these documents. They keep this stuff secreted for a reason. They only give it and show it to adept initiates, people that they believe will respect them and respect their information. So I won't tell you what I saw in that text and the imagery, real photographs of what I saw. It's incredible. And there's a reason why they protect themselves that way, so they don't turn into a circus show, because everyone in the world would be showing up at their reservations and turn it into a damn clown show. Photographs, videos, digging up their sites and everything else you could think of, pretty much destroying their entire way of life. The most sacred and specific details remain within the tribe, protected by ceremonial law. This is not secrecy for its own sake, but wisdom, recognizing that sacred knowledge in the wrong hands can become a distorted weapon. Sacred knowledge in the wrong hands, it can become a distorted weapon. And the prophecies were never intended to be entertainment, which is what people would love to have them become. Their purpose is to guide behavior, to remind humanity of spiritual law, and to prepare consciousness for transition into the fifth world. That's what it's for. Hope y'all paying attention tonight. Hope y'all sharing this video. We got 1,580 people in the live chat now. 1,580. Hope y'all paying attention, man. We can't keep letting our great kids grow up and allowing them to be raised up and go fall for these evil, dark systems and work for these dark lords. We can't allow it anymore. It's got to come to an end. So what the prophecy is really talking about here? What is it talking about? They want to show 3-Eye Atlas. It's not necessarily about destruction, but it's really about transformation. Destruction can be an end result if we allow it to be, but it really is designed to trigger this awareness within us that lets us know if we don't change our ways and take back control of this planet, we're going to end up in a very bad situation, far worse than where we are right now. It's not a punishment. It's showing you what the consequences are for our own collusion through silence and non-action, or action in participating in their systems. It's not fear, but it's a choice that we can make to be better, to do better, to live better, and to teach our children better. This is the harbinger of the red and the blue Kachina. The final message of the Hopi prophecy. The world does not end when the sky falls. It ends when the human heart forgets the earth. Crazy. They say, this is the essence of the Hopi wisdom, that catastrophe is not imposed from from within, but what arises when humanity serves its relationship with the sacred. The prophecies are not predictions of inevitable doom, but warnings that serve as guideposts for navigation. We are living in the time of the prophecies. The signs are surrounding us. The choice is ours to make. Will we remember? Will we restore balance before the red Kachina arrives, or will we continue until purification becomes the only path forward? The answer lies not in the stars, but the answer lies in our hearts. And so let's take a look at 3i Atlas here. Another blue image of 3i Atlas. It might be slightly pixelated, but this was a great image taken by Paul Craggs with a $600 telescope. We know that NASA couldn't take a picture this good with $25 billion, and that's only 1 year's income for them. They had $25 billion, and the only satellite, which was the Maven, which took a very good image, and the Mars Global satellite that they have out there took a great image. And then Maven also took an image from Mars, and both of them aren't sending back anything worthwhile. Maven doesn't even work anymore. Maven just shut down. Before we can get the good images, Maven turned off. Okay? So, you know, NASA scammed us. What's interesting is we have this 3i Atlas out there, and we also have R2 Swan. Most people haven't heard of R2 Swan. R2 Swan is another type of a 3i Atlas. It has thrusters coming out of the front and back. It positioned itself in a pincer maneuver around Earth right now. So right now we have this pincer maneuver going on with 3i Atlas and R2 Swan. And both of them are displaying the same artificial properties. And both of them are burning blue and red, depending on the speed and the position they're in within the range of the sun, perihelion, when they come through perihelion around the sun. R2 Swan came out of nowhere. Where'd this thing come from? And it came in, both of them came in perfectly on the ecliptic, which is very, very hard for a random rock to do. You can't just take a random rock tumbling through space and then have it come in perfectly on the ecliptic and then enter into perihelion and stay on the, it doesn't make any sense. It's basic astrophysics. When 3i Atlas came close to our solar system, it took this path towards Earth and through the inner solar system. It kind of went on this vacation route, if you would, where it can kind of get a great view of everything it wanted to see without colliding with anything. And then it whipped around the sun. And as it whipped around the sun, it created this. It created a gigantic butterfly hole in the sun itself. This was in mid-September 2025. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory captured a massive coronal hole on the sun shaped like a butterfly. Shaped like a butterfly. And you can clearly see this plain as day. This is really amazing. The coronal holes are regions where the sun's magnetic fields open into space, allowing charged particles to escape and form high-speed solar wind streams. And we know that right after this happened, we had a huge coronal mass ejection. We had a CME, which headed right towards Earth. This thing ripped this thing into a hole that turned into a butterfly. The butterfly description refers to its symmetrical wings-like pattern seen in the ultraviolet imagery, not a unique type of a solar feature. They can't even explain it. They can't even understand how this feature happened. And what does a butterfly signify? A butterfly signifies transformation. A butterfly signifies transformation. The signs are in the stars and the sky. The signs are in the heavens, just as the ancients told us. All ancients all around the planet, all indigenous cultures have told us the signs will be in the heavens and the skies. It's even in the biblical text. The signs will be in the heavens and the skies. These are the signs for us to bring awareness to us, to who we are, the time frame that we're in, to understand the potential condition of mankind and where we have, what ability we have to move forward into the future, to head into this new world, the fifth world. This is the starting point. So everything we do from today matters. And the Hopi are talking about this cycle: moral failure, corruption of institutions and leaders and their values. Then ecological imbalance, destruction of ecosystems and disrespect for the earth. Spiritual disconnection, serving a sacred covenant with creator and creation. And then also human arrogance, belief that technology can replace wisdom with natural law. These are all the signs, according to the Hopi, of the end of the fourth age. This is exactly where we are right now. We are exactly where they predicted: the end of a cycle, the beginning of a new cycle. In this cycle, the extinction of the fourth world begins. The collapse of corrupt power structures. Institutions built on exploitation, deception, and domination will crumble under the weight of their own contradictions. The end of disharmony with Earth. Systems that treat the planet as a resource to be extracted from rather than a living being to be honored cannot continue. It cannot continue, and it will not continue. Purification of spiritless technology. The technologies wielded without wisdom, ethics, or reverence for life will be stripped away but transformed. Either we begin to work with AI and build it in a way that serves humanity, or we continue to build tools and technologies and automation that destroy humanity at its core. Spirituality and technology actually work greater together than apart. So we have this harbinger, the blue Kachina and the red Kachina. In the ancient language of the Hopi, the heavens speak in symbols long before they speak in stone. When the blue star appears, truth is revealed. When the red star follows, the world is purified. In our modern sky, 3i Atlas has arrived from the deep interstellar dark. It burned blue, it flared green, and it turned red. A chromatic prophecy written in plasma and fire. It's not a destroyer, but a harbinger of transition. Transition for humanity. The butterfly, a symbol of transition, a symbol of transformation. It's time for us to switch up. It's time for us to change. It's time for us to realize our true power and who we are and our place in this universe. It's time for us to get back to our core values. It's time for us to stop falling for divide and conquer tactics and hating our brother and hating our sister and focusing on destroying one another and focusing on competing with one another. It's time to get back to collaboration over competition. It's time to get back to love over hate. It's time to get back to unity. It's time to get back to service to others and love. This is the era that we're in right now. We're at a precipice. We can move in this direction or this direction. It's up to us. It really is up to us. And so the question is always, what will we choose? What direction are we headed in? We pretty much got through the Cold War age. That was incredible. But we still have the nukes on the planet pointed back at ourselves while we're still on the planet. We need someone to get into positions of power that can deactivate them forever and have them all disassembled so that they can never be used against humanity ever again. We need to get people in positions of power that are like Trojan horses that destroy the polytrickster system from the inside out and implode it We need to get people in positions of power that help to alter and change the educational system because it's archaic. It's designed to create people that are going to be working in factories to build war machines. We got to get people in positions of power in military and police. People who don't blindly follow orders from someone that they consider to be, quote unquote, above them, a higher rank. People who actually question those orders and think clearly and logically before they follow through with them to make sure they're doing something honorable against mankind. We got to get people in positions of power that help build and develop communities, that help the financial system make it very level for everyone to be a player. We have to infiltrate from the inside out. Picketing and running down the street with picketing signs and breaking into stores and smashing their glass windows and lighting cars on fire and flipping the cars over and crying on camera, it ain't going to do a damn thing. Just going to create more distractions and more turmoil. You have to move like the IDF and the Israelis. A small group of people, slowly but surely, infiltrated every government, and especially the US government, by putting people in positions of power over many years. It's a plan that they've had. They probably have like a 1,000-year plan. Very tedious and meticulous. Paying off politricksers, paying off government, lobbying like crazy, getting themselves in position of power to the point where they pretty much control the entire United States. A very small group of people did this. Small. A fraction of the population of the earth did this. They now control pretty much the entire planet and all the central banking systems. A fraction. There's 8 billion of us. You mean to tell me we can't duplicate what they did with a fraction of the people? We have to duplicate. We have to follow their lead. They're the blueprint. Follow the leader. Don't reinvent the wheel. They already perfected that wheel. We just need to follow it. Follow the breadcrumbs. Back in the day, in ancient times, they would create this huge statue. Beautiful statue, ornate in every way. It would look like it was a solid statue, but the inside would be completely hollow. They would put their soldiers on the inside and seal it. And they would get hundreds of men to roll it for miles to get it to the next kingdom and get it right up to the gates of the kingdom and tell them, hark, go get your Lord, your king. We have a special gift for your king. And they would, oh, we have a gift for the king. Open the doors. And they would open the big doors, those big giant doors. And they would push this huge statue in. And then the doors would close around. Doors closed. Once the doors closed, the soldiers hop out of that statue and start slicing and dicing. That's what a Trojan horse means. That's where they got the terminology from, Trojan horse. They jump out of that thing and they start slicing and dicing, and they ain't asking no questions. They sliced and diced everybody, the kids and all. They didn't give a damn. It's pretty brutal. That's why you got to read the book of Deuteronomy. That's what it's all about. Now, we don't have to go to the bloodletting level. But we could take that as a metaphor and realize the only way to make a serious change is to get on the inside of systems and change them from the inside out. And until we're willing to do that, we're going to continue to have the same struggles over and over again. Because this very small group of hand-picked elites will continue to take this money from these foreign lobbyists. They'll continue to do the bidding of foreign nations, and they'll continue to go against the people of their own countries. So we have to do a better job. And I really do believe that 3-Eye Atlas, now the more that I look at it, I don't believe that it's a natural comet. But I also don't know if it's alien in terms of people like us alien, but that itself, 3-Eye Atlas and R2 Swan might themselves also be living beings, the type of which we've never seen before. We may not even understand what they really are. They could be a different form of space life. Space whales, maybe. I know it sounds crazy. I'm just hypothesizing. But they could be some other form of life that has been coming here and visiting us for many, many, many thousands of years. Signaling, again, the end of a world and the beginning of a new world. Are we going to see the signs? Are we going to pay attention? All eyes have been in the skies. All the satellites have been trained on these things. It is not a screen you can swipe. It's not a TV you can look at. There's not a radio station you can listen to that at one point mentions 3-Eye Atlas. It was meant to be known and become a household name worldwide. Even toddlers know when you say 3-Eye Atlas what it means. There's something out there. This is the sign that we may have been waiting for. A wake-up call for humanity. A harbinger of transformation. Will we move from the caterpillar stage that we're in right now and transform into a butterfly? Or will we die inside of the cocoon? The choice is ours. The choice is absolutely ours. It's a big choice. A lot of people are very nonchalant. Well, I'm going to be gone anyway. Let the next generation worry about it. That's the typical statement I always hear. They'll let them worry about it. Who cares? I'll be gone. It's a very selfish statement to make. Not understanding that the decisions we make today affect the future of humanity. The decisions we make here affect the universe as a whole. There is an absolute butterfly effect in the quantum field that happens for every decision that we act on in this realm, in this third density, this third dimension. Things you do in here are not only affecting people here, it's affecting things throughout the entire known universe. That's why when we were dropping those nuke tests back in the day, they were rocking the subatomic field, sending out subatomic frequencies to other star systems that had highly advanced beings that they came to take a look and see what the hell was going on over here. That's why when we started testing the nukes and the atomic bombs, they started showing up in droves, and there were so many sightings going on, and they even showed up at nuclear flights. A flight is where they have the silos. In broad daylight, according to military security officers that had the codes to the nukes, they would deactivate the nukes. They would hack in and deactivate them. So what does that tell you? What we do here echoes into eternity. That's a true statement. So that's what I believe is going on there. I really do believe that 3-Eye Atlas is potentially a life form of some type that we just can't really understand exactly what it is. It's just my hypothesis. It doesn't mean it's true. I'm dropping in the live chat a link to join me in the Forbidden Knowledge Tour. There's another tour coming up to see these ancient sites and meet these indigenous peoples of Egypt in Africa. You may get a chance to talk to some pyramid priests or talk to some pyramid priests and see if you can get some knowledge, something outside of the textbook, something you haven't heard before. I do it every single time. I always learn a little something extra from the keepers of wisdom on these tours. A little something extra. And also, right now, you can join the Forbidden Knowledge Academy. I have the 36-hour mystery schools in there. And you can actually, if you want to do it in a week, you can actually watch them all 36 hours for free. I just dropped the link in the live chat. If you can't see a link, just go to 4bkacademy.com. I just dropped the link in the live chat again for the Forbidden Knowledge Academy. There's over 100 hours of workshops, classes, and teachings in there by me, and also Robert Edward Grant and several others as well, by the way. But the 36-hour mystery school teachings are in there. 36 hours of teaching. And you can watch it all. Go ahead and binge watch it. Get in there right now and go binge watch all of it. I just dropped a link in the live chat. You can watch it all for free. Okay. And it might enlighten you in something. I think it will. I think it's very educational. I feel very blessed and pleased that I was able to accomplish that. It was a live session of mystery schools that I used to have in person that were recorded and broken down into classes. And I put my blood, sweat, and years into that information. And so a lot of people have given me a lot of great feedback about that information. You can also watch God Power 1 and Blueprint for God Power 1 and Blueprint for God Power 2. That's 24 hours of teaching. 24 hours. Blueprint for God Power Part 1 and Part 2. 24 hours. You can go watch it for free. I just dropped the link again in the live chat, 4bkacademy.com. Okay. If you didn't know, I do have 6 books that are all bestsellers. The Compendium of the Animal Tablets, Woke Doesn't Mean Broke, The Epic of Humanity, The Fractal Holographic Universe, Emerald Tablets of Thoth, The Forbidden Tablets, and the Manifestation Codes. That's my newest book, which thought I had one up here, but I don't. Maybe it's here. I just sent out all the autographed copies yesterday. Manifestation Codes became a bestseller in 4 days. Those are all available on Amazon or on the Forbidden Shop. Okay. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. Hopefully tonight impacted you in a positive way. Hopefully tonight gave you some insight and some understanding as to what possibly could be going on out here. And, I'm going to continue to bring some of my insights on topics like this. I know it's a slightly different take on 3i Atlas than you probably thought it was going to be. But this is just based on my own research and my own work. And I really believe that there's something here. I really believe after sitting with the Hopi elders in Scottsdale a week and a half ago, I got some real good enlightenment. I really do believe that this is closer to the truth than not. Okay. But again, you do your own research. Don't believe what I say. Research what I say. All right. Research what I say. Looking forward to all the great things. We have a lot of great events coming up next year. We have Egypt twice. We have Bosnia. We have Mexico. We have Turkey. And we have Australia. So if you want to come on any of these tours, you can go to my website and you can register for these tours. I'll just drop the link for you real quick. It's forbiddenknowledge.com. You can go to the tour section and you can look for all the tours. 4 with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com. And just go to the tours. I'll also be appearing at many places. I'll see some people at the Conscious Life Expo coming up in February. I'm going to do 2 big lectures there, a huge keynote, then a post-conference lecture at the Conscious Life Expo. I'll be talking about that a lot very soon. So if you'd like to come to LA at the LAX Hilton, I'll see you on February 20th out there. Have another Manifest University event, February 9th through 11th at the My Manifest University. Lots of events coming up. Lots of events in New Life Expos coming up as well. All these are coming up. I'll be posting links in the caption of this video in case anybody wants to come to any of those events. All right. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank you for hanging out. And I will catch y'all again mañana. Peace.